Jane, my aunt. Allison is 11, Kira is 14. Kira's family has never understood why she has always been shunned. Actually, Aunt Jean had affairs with her sisters. Kira is my Aunt Lulu's offspring from her long relationship with John. Kira is the only one who is actually suffering as a result of this. Jean continues to attend all family get-togethers. John and Lulu are still wed. While the rest of the family speaks with Jan, Lulu doesn't. The lone recipient of no benefits from the 13 cousins Kira in the family. The only cousin who communicates with her is me. Kira's siblings comprise some of those cousins, and they are aware of her. Her and Allison are close, yet they still communicate. For as long as I can remember, Kira has been left out of things and left alone. When I inquired why Kira didn't receive anything for Christmas, I was told that she was 5 years old. Dad explained that everyone did it as a sign of respect for Lulu, who suffered greatly as a result of the affair. That still made no sense to me even then, but it makes sense to the rest of my family. We were gathered at my grandparents' house to celebrate my grandma's sister's 93rd birthday. Kira was left out once more. Therefore, when Allison wasn't getting drawn into things by Jean, I spent time with her and Allison. Kira became quite irate because some people just ignored her when she said hello, and she couldn't figure out why everyone detested her so much. She said that she hoped she could know, but her mother would never tell her anything. I then informed her. I assured her that she had nothing to do with it, but that the grown-ups were to blame and that the family shouldn't have taken it out on her. That she shouldn't have suffered because of whatever her parents did. She told me she was grateful she knew, even if she was broken. When she brought it up to Aunt Jean, things really went south. Everyone argued that even though I was only 17 years old, I should have known better and that I had no right to tell her that it wasn't my place. The saddest part, which makes me feel more worse, is that everyone was quick to criticize her for being a conceited brat and to point out that she ought to have more empathy for Lulu and Lulu's children. Do I qualify as the A? The top remark is as follows: not at all an a-hole. It's likely that you relieved her of some of her burdens. She can now go about her life without having to deal with her family's ignorance or be held accountable for her mother's errors. That family is poisonous. I would leave right away. She has 4 more years to go before she can go anywhere. Because of the toxic nature of his family, my ex-husband fled from home when he was 14 years old, and he refused to be sent back by the authorities. He threatened to keep running away if they sent him back. His mother was required to provide support when they placed him in foster care. My point is that if she's depressed and desperate enough to take them, there are solutions if she feels she can't manage it. Not at all an a-hole. Your family as a whole is the a-holes. It should never be necessary to punish a child for the errors of their parents. How is it that nobody can see how much misery they are giving her? They are more concerned with Lulu's suffering, and Lulu despises Kira outright. She says the same thing about Jean, although Kira did no harm to anyone. I've heard her previously desire for Kira's death. It's not as if she picked her parents or the place she was born. Everyone in this family is terrible. You really shouldn't have told her, but the rest of them are all complete assholes for ignoring a helpless child in favor of an adult. Yes, I am aware. Since I knew she would be in the dark, I just wanted to try to ease her transition a little. Next article: did I offend my stepmother by not asking my sister to my wedding? To set the scene, I am an affair child. At the time, my dad was married to Marie and had 3 children, a boy, 8, a girl, 4. Marie was distraught to learn about the affair, but she remained with my dad because she loved him. It was like salt in Marie's wound when she learned I was on my way. She tried telling my dad that it was either her and their relationship or his unborn child, which was me. But when my dad declared that he would pick me, she gave in. While I lived primarily with my dad and Marie, I also spent time with both of my parents because my dad paid for my other 3 siblings to attend the same school as him. I think Marie had an influence on my 3 half-siblings' dislike of me participating in games and other activities, since she would frequently tell them that I'm not a true sibling. In essence, I was treated like the person who shouldn't have existed. My dad used to get into arguments with Marie over this, but he always made things right for me. He would take me out for ice cream, for instance, if they all went out without me. He would purchase me a new toy if their mother got them new toys instead of me. This further strained our relationship because my siblings always saw it as favoritism. Marie and my dad got divorced when I was 17. My dad never got in touch with any of my 3 siblings, and I didn't talk to Marie very much. Eventually, our dad divorced Marie and married my mother a few years later. A few years ago, I made contact with my siblings. The 2 lads indicated they had no interest, but Lauren and I have had a few coffee dates and genuinely got along. After some time spent organizing, I chose to invite Lauren to my wedding. I chose to extend an invitation to Marie and my 2 brothers as an act of goodwill following her enthusiastic response. My brother sent me a rude mail, pretending as though they hadn't torn their family apart, asking how dare I invite them knowing that our father and mother would be there. Though I thought it would be great to at least extend an invitation, I reminded him that surely they wouldn't have to talk to them if they came. He questioned why I thought my wedding was so significant that they wanted an invitation. I decided to ignore him. When Lauren learned about the argument, she essentially tried to persuade me to reject my father and mother and instead select the ladies who reared me, as well as the notion that my mother had paternal roles. I informed her that Marie was a witch to me and that she literally detested my existence and that she couldn't be serious. Lauren called me an asshole, so I urged her to forget about the wedding completely and that it takes one to know one. Thanks for the compliment, Lauren. My brother sent me another cruel text, and my other brother banned me from Facebook. Here, am I the a-hole? Here are the most popular comments. I'm not a jerk. I think there's more to this story than meets the eye, but you're not an a-hole for trying. Here, every parent is the worst. When they knew your stepmother despised you, why did your dad let her take care of you as the primary carer? Were they making use of stepmom as a free nanny while their parents continued their affair? Your dad frequently traveled for work to see your mother. It appears that dad just left stepmom for your mother after taking care of the kids. It's strange that you were unable to attend high school and spend regular time with your father because you didn't live with him close to your mother. Your childhood trauma is the result of your biological parents. You're really letting your stepmother off the hook in all of this because she didn't do the bare minimum to raise you. My father believed it only right that I attend the same private school in Britain that he funded for the education of his other 3 children. My school was 20 minutes away, and my mom lived 30 minutes from my father's house. There was no school bus, and my mother had to drive for school every day for more than 50 minutes in heavy traffic. Since Marie would still be dropping the other 3 off, it was easier for me to just stay at my dad's place. My father would get upset when she would clearly leave me out, but he probably wasn't aware of the smaller but equally significant details at the time. I'm not sure how much my dad knew either. They ended their affair because my dad had legitimate work travels to attend. For years, he didn't see a mother other than when he dropped me off. He acknowledged that, despite Marie's lack of kindness, he loved both my mother and Marie. I never experienced any trauma from my parents. Due to her extreme poverty, my mother was unable to move closer, and Marie would not have wanted my dad to assist her. Both my father and mother are truly compassionate individuals. All right, but your mother should have moved close to your school and taken on the role of primary carer as the responsible and natural thing to do. Though she didn't raise you, your stepmother wasn't pleased with it. Therefore, I fail to see how she could have prevented your dad, if he truly wanted to, from providing financial support to your mother. It appears that he was acting in his own self-interest, disregarding the opinions of others. You stated in your initial post that your father was aware of your issues and made an effort to give you gifts as a way of showing you his appreciation. You should, in my opinion, be truthful with yourself about his part in your challenging upbringing. I'm just stating that you only see one side of this, and you should probably just leave stepmom and half-siblings alone if you don't want to think about the other viewpoint. Everyone had a difficult time, but your dad is primarily to blame. Your dad isn't a pleasant guy, according to the information you provided, which you shared here in an attempt to be objective. His selfishness has caused many lives to be damaged, making him an awful father and husband. My 19-year-old sister-in-law's 27-year-old little sister went away 3 years ago. The next tale is captioned, "Am I the a-hole for telling my sister-in-law I'm not her late sister and she needs to see a therapist?" I disagree with her statement that she had already grieved her death. She likes to compare everything I do to what her sister did, and to be honest, there are probably a few things we both did similarly. However, she has gone so far as to compare nearly everything I do, including the subjects I studied in high school, the sports I played, the colors I like, the way I decorate my room, and even the snacks and foods I enjoy eating. I've tried my best to gently tell her to stop always comparing me to her late sister because it started to bother me. She didn't. I told my sister, who is her wife, to ask her to stop when she persisted in doing so. She didn't. I'm called too theatrical by everyone, and they all advise me to let her go on. It's obvious that she views me as her younger sister, and that's fine. Since my partner has been around more, she has been much worse. I asked my mom yesterday if my boyfriend could stay for dinner, which usually means he'll spend a night too, and she said, yeah. Sister-in-law overheard and became upset. She also said things like, my parents would have never allowed my sister to have a boyfriend in her room or spend a night, and you're luckier your boyfriend isn't around me or I'd kick him out. I should stay home instead of going out to keep an eye on my boyfriend and me because we'd be home alone, she said, snarkily commenting throughout breakfast. Opie and boyfriend spend way too much time together, and I'm surprised you guys allow her to have boys in her room. You don't know what they're up to in there, she said. I carried on with my day without giving it much thought. When my boyfriend finally showed there, we spent time hanging around in my room. She began barging in less than 10 minutes later, trying to ask me strange questions, telling me to do the dishes, and attempting to invite herself to hang out with us. After I locked my door out of frustration, things really started to get out of hand. She began to shout, knock on the door, and demanded me to unlock it when she tried to enter again and saw that it was locked. When I did, she began to rage at me, saying that since her sister wouldn't even be permitted to lock her bedroom door, I too couldn't. I had had enough at that point. She needs help, so I called her insane and told her that I'm not her late sister and that she should see a therapist. Her big sister instincts kicked in, so when she informed her parents what I said, they asked me to apologize. In addition, my sister asked me to apologize for my callous remarks. They believe I'm an insensitive a-hole because I declined. I feel now that I may have been in error and that what I said was probably in the a-hole zone. Do I look like an a-hole? Here are the most popular comments. Not a-hole, she does need to see a therapist, not d-hole. That's really messed up with her, and you're correct, she does need some therapy or counseling. It doesn't sound like anyone is giving her a neutral perspective here, and just enabling her to project her late sister on you. Is there anyone in your corner, will be a relative or trusted authority figure? This sounds like a lot to go through alone, and I feel like you could use some sensible backup because you're definitely not out of line here. I don't have anyone other than my boyfriend and friends. Do you have a close relationship with your parents? I used to, but with them always defending what she does, it's taken a toll on our relationship. Everyone in this place is terrible, and I realize this isn't the opinion of many, but here's why. 1. Sheila is a terrible partner, and your sister is a jerk for ignoring your complaints about your irritation and worries about your sister-in-law. 2. Your parents are bad because, despite your obvious discomfort with what your sister-in-law is doing, they don't support you. 3. You're a softie only because of the way you stated during the heated debate that she needs treatment. Telling someone they need therapy comes across as an insult rather than showing compassion for the person who is being treated. Edit. Is it common to get mixed answers like a lot of comments are saying not d-hole, but in private messages, I'm being told everyone sucks here or you're the a-hole? I'm confused. I'm also being told I was harsh and should apologize, along with being told my reaction was fine and I don't owe an apology. I'm so confused. Do the private messages even count? Maybe they're trolls. I don't know. I keep commenting to people, but I realize not everyone is going to see my replies. I did move out and had to move back because my apartment complex burned down. I'm back on the road to moving out and hope to by December. I know I need to get away, and I'm trying. The final tale is this one. Am I the weird one for telling my adopted sister that nothing our grandmother left behind belongs to her? My sister, Laura, 27, was adopted by our parents when she was 12 years old. She never really bonded to have parents. She went to therapy, and although my parents loved and cared for her, they were never able to have a close relationship. Laura only opened up to me, 24, and my grandmother, 87, was also very fond of Laura, but she always rejected her affections and was often impolite to my grandmother. Laura moved out of our house at the age of 18, attended college, which my parents paid for in full, lived and traveled abroad, and severed all ties with us when she graduated at the age of 22. We later learned that she had been contacted by her adoptive family shortly after turning 18, and they had maintained contact throughout her 4 years of college. We haven't heard from Laura in 5 years. Laura waited for my parents to pay for her university education before moving live with her original parents. Naturally, my parents were upset, but they overcame their sorrow with much effort, and life returned to normal. Recently, my grandmother passed away, leaving an inheritance at will. For some reason, Laura learned of her passing and showed up to the meeting where the will was supposed to be read. The noise caused the reading of the will to be rescheduled for last week. Since Laura is still technically my parents' daughter, the lawyer did not want to read my grandmother's will without her, so Laura left her contact information with my grandmother's attorney. Today was the reading of my grandma's will, and Laura was present. My dad was crying now. Laura was upset. She threw a fit and said that my parents had definitely tricked my grandmother into making me leave nothing for her. My grandma left Laura one of her averagely valued rings and a sum of about $10 compared to what she left me or my cousins. It's nothing. When I became enraged, I called her some ugly names, told her that she had no right to anything that my grandma left because it was she who broke up with us, and Laura called me an asshole before leaving the room. My mother is now upset with me because she believes that I wasted our opportunity to speak with Laura once more and rebuild our connection. Not de-ho, also your parents are wrong. Laura was there to reconnect, she was only there for the money. Opie's mom is absolutely blinded by her own desperation in order not to see the glaring sign Lara's holding that says I still don't care about any of you. It's absolutely crazy to me. Laura almost spent more time out of Opie's life than in it. From 12 to 18, they had regular contact. The next, enough from 18 to 22, and no contact for the last 5 years. Not day home. Laura went off and cut contact for 5 years after your parents finished paying off her university fees, and now she's throwing a tantrum because she thinks she's entitled to your deceased grandmother's stuff. She's entitled and sounds like a giant a-hole. She did you a favor when she cut contact, and she should have stayed away. Your parents are still grieving, and Laura was a massive a-hole to show up when they were grieving the loss of your redum mother and potentially try to take advantage of that emotional state. Also, $10 is about all I would have left her just to stop her contesting the will, but if that wasn't an issue, I'd say that $10 is maybe $10 too much.